Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, January the 14th, and we're here to look at the new releases that have been published this week. And on Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. We look at the darker side of mystery. Yesterday, we looked at the cozy mysteries. And tomorrow, we'll be looking at romance. Thursdays, we'll be looking at fantasy and science fiction. Friday is Freeform Friday. We'll look at the leftovers and anything else that has caught my attention that doesn't fall in those categories. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll go for 2.5 hours. I do sprints every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. We will jump in because there are lots of these. The publishing is back on schedule. They took somewhat of a break during the holidays, but we are back. Let's see what else. Last night I finished the book I was reading, The Chessboard Murders by Jack Murray. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. It was dealing a lot with, it's set in 1920, and it was dealing with the Bolshevik Revolution and its impact on Britain. Secret Service stuff. All right, but we are looking at mysteries and thrillers. This is When She's Gone by Rhea Frey. Cora Valentine has her whole life and a shot at the Olympics ahead of her, but when she's kidnapped on Halloween, her name is splashed across headlines, not as an athlete, but as a victim. Not even her safe return changes that, especially since no one is caught for the crime. Hounded by the public, Cora's time as a missing girl and a member of the Magnificent Eight has its consequences. Years later, when Cora has her own daughter, she's determined to leave the past behind for a better life. Her daughter will never face those fears, and Cora will never face them again. But 4 years later, on Halloween, the past comes knocking. Now Cora's daughter is gone, and to get her back, Cora must take someone else's child. Clearly, whoever took her all those years ago isn't done with her yet, but as long as they have her daughter, Cora's not done with them either. Interesting take, putting having Olympics tied into it. The Vantage Point by Sarah Slager. I don't know. The old money Weiland family has it all. Wealth, status, power. They're also famously cursed. Clara and her brother Teddy grew up on a small island in Maine in the shadow of their parents' tragic deaths, haunted by rumors and paparazzi. 14 years later, they've mostly put their turbulent past to rest. Teddy has married Clara's best friend Jess, and the three of them have moved back home to take over the sprawling remote family mansion known as Vantage Point. Then Teddy decides to run for the Senate, an unnerving prospect made much worse when intimate videos of Clara are leaked online. The most frightening part is that she doesn't remember filming any of them. Are the videos real, or are they deep fakes? Is someone trying to take down the Weilands once and for all? Everyone thinks Clara is losing her grasp on reality, but she knows the truth. The videos are only the beginning. Years ago, the curse destroyed her parents, and now it's coming for her. Good afternoon, Helen. How is it? How's it going? How's the future? Are you having good weather over there? Track Her Down by Melinda Lee, 9th in the Bree Taggart series. A teenager returns home from work and finds her parents shot to death in their bed. Responding to the call, Sheriff Bree Taggart realizes the crime wasn't a burglary gone wrong. The couple was executed. The sole survivor, their traumatized teen daughter, Claire Mason. Bree teams up with investigator Matt Flynn to work the case, but together they uncover more questions than answers. When Claire is stalked at the park, it's clear the killer isn't finished, and she's the next target. As Bree and Matt sift through the past, suspect by suspect, a tangled web of deception emerges, and the truth becomes harder to see, because the victims' entire lives were a lie, and the only way to protect the vulnerable girl is to unravel her parents' secrets. And we've got some big names in crime fiction coming up. Robert Grace has a new one. I know, shock. If you've been around crime fiction for a while, you know this author took a break, but was a very big name for a while. This is number 20 in the Elvis Cole and Joe Pike series. This is called The Big Empty. Tracy Beller was 13 when her father disappeared in the sleepy town of Rancho, not far from Los Angeles. The evidence says Tommy Beller abandoned his family, but Tracy never believed it. Now, 10 years later, Tracy is a high-profile influencer with millions of followers and the money to hire the best detectives she can find, Elvis Cole. Elvis heads to Rancho where an ex-con named Sadie Gibbons and her daughter Anya might have a line on the missing man. But when Elvis finds himself shadowed by a gang of vicious criminals, the missing person's cold case becomes far more sinister. Elvis calls his ex-Marine friend Joe Pike for help, and they follow Tommy Beller's trail into the depths of a monstrous hidden evil. The case flips on its head, victims become predators become prey, and the question becomes, can Elvis Cole save them all from this nightmare? Good to see him writing. End of row 1. And a new one in the Bourne estate, Robert Ludlum's estate. This is written by Brian Freeman, who has his own series. But this is Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Vendetta, 20th, if you're counting the Jason Bourne entire series. Ellen says the snow is clearing up now. Oh, good. A hacked database known as The Files has upended the intelligence community. Careers are being destroyed. Dirty deals are showing up on the front page. Assassinations are spreading from Europe to the US. The new head of Treadstone sends Jason Bourne on a mission to find out who has the files and get them back or destroy them. But Bourne isn't alone in this race. The Chinese want the files, so do the Russians. And the only woman who may be able to help him is a treacherous spy known as Johanna, Bourne's former lover, who sees the files as the key to her own vendetta against Treadstone. Bourne has a rule for friends and enemies alike: trust no one. That rule may be the only thing keeping him alive, because the hunt for the files soon takes Bourne inside a twisted labyrinth of murder and betrayal where everyone has a hidden agenda, including Bourne himself. Scott Turow has a new one. I did check. This is new. Third in the Presumed Innocent series. This is Presumed Guilty. Good morning, Kim. How you doing? Are you feeling better? Rusty is a retired judge attempting a third act in life with a loving soon-to-be wife, Bee, with whom he shares both a restful home on an idyllic lake in the rural Midwest and a plaintive hope that this marriage will be his best and his last. But the peace that's taken Rusty so long to find evaporates when Bee's young adult son, Aaron, living under their supervision while on probation for drug possession, disappears. If Aaron doesn't return soon, he will be sent back to jail. Aaron eventually turns up with a vague story about a camping trip with his troubled girlfriend, May, that ended in a fight and a long hitchhike home. Days later, when she still hasn't returned, suspicion falls on Aaron, and when May is subsequently discovered dead, Aaron is arrested and set for trial on charges of first-degree murder. Faced with few choices and even fewer hopes, Bee begs Rusty to return to court one last time to defend her son and to save their last best hope for happiness. For Rusty, the question is not whether to defend Aaron or whether the boy is in fact innocent. It's whether the system to which he has devoted his life can ever provide true justice for those who are presumed guilty. So if you're looking for a legal thriller, Thomas Perry has a new one. Excuse me. Charles Warren, Los Angeles attorney, has dedicated his career to aiding people in financial straits. He is particularly skilled at the art of recovering assets that have been embezzled or hidden. In his newest case, helping a beautiful young woman find the money missing from her late husband's investment accounts, Charlie recognizes a familiar scheme. one that echoes the con job that targeted his own widowed mother many years before, and that led him, as a teenager, to commit a crime of retribution that still weighs on his conscience. Charlie can't get the present case out of his mind, but within hours of starting his investigation, he is followed, shot at, and has his briefcase stolen. It's clear that someone doesn't want him following the trail of the missing money, but as Charlie continues to pursue answers, he quickly becomes too entangled in the web of fraud, betrayal, and career criminals surrounding the theft to escape its deadly snare. Excuse me. Queen of Diamonds by B.Z. Marsh, third in the Queen of Thieves series. London, 1922. Orphan girl Alice dreams of more than toiling long hours in Pink's jam factory. Inspired by stories about the legendary Queen of Thieves, Mary Carr, who terrorized the streets of Victorian London, Alice decides to set up her own gang, the 40 Thieves. She has an accomplice, too. Sly seamstress Kate Felix from Whitechapel persuades Alice they'd make the perfect team. Before long, the pair are making headlines in the glitzy world of 1920s Soho, known for their daring heists and for the row of heavy diamond rings that Alice uses like brass knuckles in her frequent brawls. What Alice soon discovers is that a life of crime makes her powerful enemies, including some who are closer to home than they'd like. Alice must sacrifice more than she ever imagined, but the toughest and most beautiful diamonds are formed under pressure. End of row 2. Rebecca Kelly. I'll tell you everything. I said that when you first came on and didn't go. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Mary. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Another long night after an eventful day yesterday. Gas company came found. Oh, no. And gas line shut gas off, so no heat. Oh, Mary. Shoot. Kim, it still hurt when I got it. Maybe not quite so much. Oh, be taken care, okay? And Kim says, oh, no, Mary. Mary, you are full of good authors this morning. Yes, we have a full house and then some. Mary, yes, it is 52 in the house right now. I have to go get some space heaters at Walmart this morning. Colder temps are supposed to come by end of week, so don't want frozen water lines to add to insult. Oh, girlfriend, I'm so sorry. Kim said, as Stormy said last night, I need to wrap in bubble wrap. Absolutely. Plus it'd be warm. Mary, the other fun is that there's no hot water, but I have a good hot plate to warm water up. Oh, Mary, Mary. Come to Montana. Amy Linden has a loving husband, an adorable son, and a glamorous career as the hotelier of a Grand Mountain Lodge. When Ramona Crawford, the daughter she gave up for adoption 20 years earlier, pays her a surprise visit. Ramona wants to know the identity of her biological father, and Amy completely understands. There's just one problem. The truth would destroy Amy's carefully curated life. Amy shares a sad tale about a teenage romance with a boy named Freddie and the painful decision to give Ramona a better future than they could provide. At first, the pieces fit together and give Ramona both closure and a chance to get to know her odd but charming mother. But then Ramona gets a different story from Freddie, and Amy's memories seem to change, and change again. Will Amy ever reveal the full story of that fateful summer at the lodge? And if so, can Ramona live with the truth? Karma Doll, third in the Doll series by Jonathan Ames. After narrowly escaping with his life at the hands of a murderous Hollywood pimp, Detective Happy Doll, bullet-ridden but healing, has landed on a remote Mexican beach. In a humble shack with his dog for company, Doll settles into a peaceful idyll of Buddhist study. But then trouble, as it always does, comes to paradise. Doll is the witness to a murder for which he is framed, and now with an expired passport and the Mexican authorities on his tail, he must sneak across the border back to LA by any means necessary with the goal of bringing the true murderer to justice. But it's not just trouble that expels Doll from paradise. His dark past reaches for him like a hand from the grave. Old enemies want him dead, including the Jalisco cartel, and Dahl, a reluctant instrument of mayhem, yearns to end this cycle of violence and tip the karmic scales in his favor. But how can he do this without getting blood on his hands? Sounds almost like a John Wick kind of situation. James Grappando has a new one. 19th in the Jack Switek series. Jack Switek's new client fled Iran to Miami with her daughter and has been accused of kidnapping by her husband. The seasoned attorney must not only plan a winning defense. To stop the father from taking the girl back to Tehran, Jack must build a case under international law and prove that returning the child would put her at risk. But everything in this case isn't what it seems. And Jack quickly learns that his client is really the child's aunt and that the biological mother may have been killed by Iran's morality police. But what role did the father play in his wife's death, and why is Jack's wife, FBI agent Andy Henning, being pressured by her bosses to persuade Jack to drop the case? Plunging into investigation unlike any other, Jack must discover who's behind the legal maneuvering and what their interest is. As politics threaten to derail the case and compromise the best interests of the child, Jack and Andy find themselves on opposite sides, with their marriage hanging in the balance. For the relationship to survive, the couple must navigate a treacherous web of deceit that extends from a Miami courthouse to the highest echelons of Washington, D.C., and spells grave danger at every turn. Cross My Heart by Meg Collins. Rosie Loughlin wants nothing more than to find the one. A year after she was dumped in her wedding dress, she's working at her parents' bridal salon, anxious for a happy ending that can't come soon enough. After receiving a life-saving heart transplant, Rosie knows her health is precious and precarious. She suspects her heart donor is Daphne Thorne, the wife of local celebrity author Morgan Thorne, who she begins messaging via an anonymous service called Donor Connect, ostensibly to learn more about Daphne. But Rosie has a secret. She's convinced that now that she has his wife's heart, she and Morgan are meant to be together. Okay, that's creepy. As she and Morgan correspond, the pretense of avoiding personal details soon disappears, even if Rosie's keeping some cards close to her chest. But as she digs deeper into Morgan's previous marriage, she discovers disturbing rumors about the man she's fallen for. Could Morgan have had something to do with his late wife's death? And can Rosie's heart sustain another break? Or is she next? End of that row. Also, one of the smoke alarms is chirping, started in the middle of the night, and scared poor Bella to death. She shook most. Oh, poor girl. My life is devolving, or something is going on. It's always something. You know, we had our deep freeze stuff die. Now our stove is dying. Kim, if my leg doesn't feel better in a day or two, I'll go get it checked out. Good. My hip feels fine, even though it's the same leg. Okay, well, it's isolated. Yeah. Give it a couple days. You know how to take care of it. But if it gets to be more than that. A True Verdict by Robert Rothstein. Metamiracle Corporation manufactures sulfrazine, a miracle cure for opiate addiction. Ellison Ricard, a research analyst for the company, claims to have uncovered data that proves Black users of sulfrazine experience fatal side effects far more often than people of other races. When Ricard confronts Metamiracle's charismatic founder and CEO, Peyton Burke, a violent confrontation ensues. The wheelchair-bound Ricard, a Black man who has been severely injured years earlier, is fired that very day. Ricard turns to aging lawyer M. Bailey Klaus to sue Burke and Metamiracle for civil rights violations, alleging that Ricard was fired because he blew the whistle on the cover-up and because he was Black. Klaus faces off against his former protege, Cecily Pagano, each arguing for drastically different versions of Ricard. Is he a brilliant, sincere, credible person who is rightfully standing up against a deadly product? Or is he a delusional, embittered, and avaricious liar who is taking advantage of his former employer? Ricard's fate rests with an 8-person jury who can't agree on anything. Working together to reach a consensus means navigating a tempest of the most divisive issues: politics, sexism, drug abuse, capitalism, healthcare, and racism. Can 8 people with different background, ages, classes, and political views avoid coming to blows, such as much less render a true verdict? Told through court transcripts and jury deliberations, a true verdict is a suspenseful ride to a shocking outcome. I'm kind of intrigued. I was going to say we're having a legal week here, a legal bingo. And I was going to say those topics are something you don't really want to read when you're reading something enjoyable, but they kind of have intrigued me now. The Really Dead Wives of New Jersey by Astrid Dahl. On this season of Garden State Goddesses, getting canceled means getting killed. When Hope Bennett marries Carmela's brother Leo, she becomes not only a Fontana, but a Garden State goddess, and not everyone is happy. Secrets will be revealed, decades-long rivalries will surface, and a sudden murder will lead to a reality reckoning no one is prepared for, least of all the show's producer, Eden, who must race to catch a killer and save the most dramatic season of all time. You know they were going to do it at some point. And there it is. The Lost House by Melissa Larson. 40 years ago, a young woman and her infant daughter were found buried in the cold Icelandic snow, lying together as peacefully as though sleeping, except the mother's throat had been slashed and the infant drowned. The case was never solved. There were no arrests, no conviction. Just a suspicion turned into a certainty. The husband did it. When he took his son and fled halfway across the world to California, it was proof enough of his guilt. Now, nearly half a century later and a year after his death, his granddaughter Agnes is ready to clear her grandfather's name once and for all. Still recovering from his death and a devastating injury, Agnes wants nothing more than an excuse to escape the shambles of her once stable life, which is why she so readily accepts true crime expert Nora Carver's invitation to be interviewed for her popular podcast. Agnes packs a bag and hops on a last-minute flight to the remote island of Bifrost, Iceland, where Nora is staying, where Agnes's father grew up, and where supposedly her grandfather slaughtered his wife and infant daughter. Is it mere coincidence that a local girl goes missing the very same weekend Agnes arrives? Suddenly, Agnes and Nora's investigation is turned upside down, and everyone in the small Icelandic town is once again a suspect. Seeking to unearth old and new truths alike, Agnes finds herself drawn into a web of secrets that threaten the redemption she is hell-bent on delivering, and even her life, discovering how far a person will go to protect their family, their safety, and their secrets. Okay, that is all we have time for today. There are others. We will pick them up as we get to them. Mary Kim, sorry you aren't feeling up to snuff. Yes, take care of yourself for sure. Helen got snow. I think that is fairly unusual there, so it might have been fun to see or not. Never know. Glad you're here, Helen. Indeed. Mary, the true verdict sounds interesting. It does. I was going to, just go, yeah, another agenda thing, but it sounds interesting. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day. Oh, girlfriend, you stay warm. Stay warm, safe, and joyful, and thankful for this new day. I'm glad they found that gas leak. That could have been bad. Mary, I fell yesterday right in front of the hospital. Oh, Kim! I'm fine, but my leg doesn't want to walk. I can, but it hurts. Man, everybody, please take care of yourselves. You're in my heart. All right. I'm just sending out good healing vibes. It's a green light enveloping everybody. Well, as stated, please be safe, be warm. Take things off your mind by reading good books. You'll have a great day. Indeed. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. Tomorrow we'll look at romance. I have to run to the grocery store on the way to work. And I need to find what I'm going to read next. And work. Work things. Oh, you tripped on the walker wheel. Oh, Kim. Yes, bubble wrap indeed. All right, everybody. I will see you soon. As the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Have a good day and God bless.